as you have held key positions at education institutes throughout your professional career, you have set up so many of the universities that we know in education industry. What do you think are the key factors that keep you connected with the education industry as a whole, or your view on the industry?
Well, I think this is something that many people will tell you who are in this industry, that education has made a huge difference to my own life. And I see education making a major difference to other people's lives. And particularly in India, as we all know, education is not of the quality that our students want or expect. And there's a lack of enough high quality institutions. There's a lack of innovative programs that keep up with the changing needs of the times. And so those are some of the things that have motivated me to stay connected and get involved in educational institutions through my life.
Sure, sir. I think, so what do you think about the education sector in India? How do you think it can grow, or what do you think are the challenges, major challenges that this sector faces going forward?
Well, again, the challenges that the sector faces are well understood. I think whatever education exists today, except for a very few number of very elite institutions, most of the educational institutions do not provide quality education. We have expanded very fast, but the quality of education has not scaled up. That is the main problem. But over the future decades, I think the bigger problem is going to be that a large number of young people are going to seek education. And while we say that we have created enough schools for children in India, there are 25 million children being born every year, and we are saying that all of them are going to school and there's a school for everyone. I'm not so sure how true that is, and moreover, in the higher education, when these people want to go to college, we certainly don't have enough capacity. So there's a capacity issue also. There is a quality issue and a capacity issue, and together the two issues are about quality capacity in this country.
Sure, sir. So as you've rightly told me that you've been a part of the setup of so many universities in India. What do you think, what is your philosophy of leadership? How would you describe your leadership style?
Well, it's difficult to sort of talk about your own leadership. Maybe other people could talk about my leadership style, but I think two or three things. I think I would like to believe that in whatever I do, that I choose to do it in a way that makes the mark, that is very high quality, which advances things in a way that people see it as distinctive, different, new, fresh, something that they can look up to, something that is inspiring. So I do think that I spend a lot of time with each of these projects thinking a lot about how do we make them unique, how do we make them stand out, how do we make it attractive to students, to faculty, to recruiters, and so on. I think my other philosophy of leadership has always been that you have to bring in good people to work on projects and then let them be and give them freedom and give them independence and support them. Don't get in their way. Otherwise, you will either you run it yourself, and that's fine. But if you are going to do multiple things and you don't have time to just focus on it 100%, then bring in good people and then let them run with it. Just keep an eye on them and keep them supported so that they don't go away and do something that was not how it was intended to be done. So you keep guiding them back to what is supposed to be done. So I think this twin idea of making sure that on whatever you do, you take things to a level or deliver it in a way that is truly distinctive, that stands out, and at the same time getting good people in and empowering them and supporting them and helping them become successful, which then ultimately leads to the success of the whole project.
Sure, sir. Coming to Harappa University now, Harappa Education. When you first started Harappa Education, I think we would want to know what was your vision for the university and how has it evolved over time, and what will you feel like is the future going forward?
So Harappa is my latest institution, if you will. It's not a university, it's not an institute, but it's something that I'm doing online. Now, because people see all these online education services, they assume that we are also another online service, but we are not. This is a university. Think of it as a university that is being built only online, with no campus, with no classrooms, with no hostels, with no such admissions process. We have our courses and anybody can come and take our courses. Now, this is, I believe, going to be the new model in the future. You will decide what you want to study and where you want to study, and you can take it by going into a proper university or college, or you can say, listen, I don't want to spend 3 years or 4 years studying. I need these skills, and I can go anywhere and take those and learn those skills. That's the broad vision of what Harappa and Harappa-like institutions will do in the future. There will be institutions that will be built entirely online without the traditional model. Now, what we are doing at Harappa is something more interesting than that. Our course curriculum, our programs are much more focused on the fact that the knowledge from the books and the technical knowledge and the functional knowledge that you learn by doing engineering or science or liberal arts or management is good, but what you also need is what we call life skills. You need to learn skills of how to think, how to problem solve, how to communicate, how to work with others, how to lead. And these are the things that actually make you really successful in life. The technical content that you learn and use keeps changing. But these skills, these are always required. And they actually create competencies that allow you to overcome challenges in life, to do well in life, and to succeed in life. Nobody teaches us, unfortunately, these skills. We should have been taught these skills from school and of course through college. So I'm coming in and saying, listen, these are the skills that you're missing. This is the gap in your learning. This is the gap in your capabilities. Let me teach you this, and then once you know this, then the chances of your being successful in your job, in your career, in your life go up substantially, because this is the essential skills that you need to succeed. And I'm teaching all of this online so that it can reach as many people as possible, because everybody needs this, and yet nobody is learning this because our schools and colleges are not teaching.
Sure, sir. I think given the industry for online education is also at a very nascent stage right now, it is of course still a new thing that teachers, that working professionals, college students, everybody is getting to know about this right now. And what do you think will be the biggest challenges going forward for Harappa education?
I think the biggest challenge is for institutions, teachers, students to be convinced that you can learn some of these skills online. And this will always be a challenge. But I think during this whole pandemic and the disruption due to the lockdown, I think people are already seeing the value of high quality education programs that are offered online, and that you can actually learn even online. And that it is not such a strange or such a unproven thing after all. So I think we need to convince people, we need to get people comfortable with this medium. You and I would never have been conducting this interview in this way till 3-4 months ago. Today you are much more comfortable. Otherwise, you would have come, or somebody would have come with a video camera and stood there and recorded me, and so on. So I do think that people are getting more and more comfortable with this medium. Next, I think we have to show the outcome. Education is really about making sure that there are real outcomes, that people actually benefit. We are very focused on making sure that people benefit from doing our courses, that it actually makes a difference to their lives. And we are very confident that we can actually deliver that benefit to our learners.
Sure, sir. I think that was a great answer and a great learning if somebody who would want to start something of their own in this field can learn from this. Now talking about, I think, as you were one of the founding members of ISB, what do you think? I'm sure it has been quite some time, but if you would like to share some of the stories or some anecdote which led to the growth of the college as we know it today.
So as you know, ISB, other than the top IIMs, the ISB is the most sought after business school in India. And the reason it is very sought after is that in its 6th year, it became one of the top 20 business schools in the world. It was the first time it was ranked internationally, and suddenly it showed up at number 20. Everybody woke up and couldn't believe that this school that had just started 5 years ago was being ranked number 20, and they thought something must be wrong. But then since then, ISB has been consistently ranked in the top 20, top 30. It actually went up to rank 12 or 13 at one point in time. While rankings don't only matter, it mattered a lot that a new institution got such high rankings. And I think that leads to my story. I think the big thing that we were able to achieve in ISB, and that became such a surprise for everyone, was that we completely changed the model of education by creating a program which was taught entirely by visiting faculty. This had never been done before. Nobody had taken such a bold step to say, I will not hire any permanent faculty, and I will run this program purely with visiting faculty. And that is what made all the difference. Most people could not believe that it could have been done. What that did was that the best faculty will not resign from their jobs to join a new institution. And so by definition, you will never get the best faculty. But if you can create a program where those best faculty don't have to resign, they can just come and visit and teach your students, which is what we did, then you can get them. Your students can have the experience of being taught by the best without the best having to leave their jobs and be hired by you. That was the big insight we had, and that completely changed the way the students experience, and that's how ISB shot into the rankings. Many years later, when I worked on the Young India Fellowship Program, which then led to the creation of Ashoka University, it was the same philosophy that guided us, where we created a liberal arts program which was taught entirely by visiting faculty. In that case, we didn't even have a campus. We just took rented premises and started operating. And look where Ashoka has reached. So I think these innovations in education is what I'm really proud of, which has really shown the way of creating two great institutions in this country.
Sure. So as you were talking about Ashoka University, they are like their focus is majorly liberal arts. And what do you think is the future for that specific interest? Because most of the students don't want to, they want to go on the traditional education like engineering, medical. What will you give suggestion to those students who want to seek out education in liberal arts?
So first, I want to tell you that this is a myth that all students are going into engineering and medical. You know, the largest enrollment in this country is in the liberal arts because in large universities around the country, Delhi University, Bombay University, Calcutta University, the Chennai University of Chennai, the Bangalore University, and even places like Patna University, BHU, the largest faculties are actually in the liberal arts. Okay. So don't forget that a large number of students, probably the majority of students in this country, still study English, philosophy, psychology, history, geography. And liberal arts also, a lot of people don't realize, contains mathematics, physics, chemistry, biology. Okay. So in terms of subjects, a lot of people are studying this. The opportunity is that what most people don't realize is that the liberal arts education is not about just studying those subjects. It's also about studying those subjects in a different way. It's liberal arts education, doesn't just mean studying liberal arts subjects. And the philosophy behind that is that when you enter a university, you can choose to study what you want. Today, the system in the country is that based on your marks or based on your entrance tests, you get into a particular department, you get into a particular subject area, and then you have to study that for the next 3 years or 4 years. You're not allowed to shift. You are allowed to shift in some cases, but shifting is very difficult. So one thing that the liberal arts education does is that it actually gives you the flexibility to change. It gives you the flexibility to choose later what you want to study if you don't like what you are studying. Second, the liberal arts education does as many courses in the specialization area as it does in other areas. In fact, more in other areas, or at least you have the opportunity to do more courses through electives in other areas. But there is both depth in the education in a subject, but also a lot of breadth in the education. You are required to study all possible disciplines so that you have a much wider view of what the... This is going to be much more critical in today's day and age than it was before. Look at what COVID has done. Who taught you to deal with COVID, or any one of us? And any solution to COVID or what is happening in the world today has so many different dependencies, interlinkages. You have to have a multidisciplinary approach to solving the problem. And that's what a liberal arts education teaches you. The liberal arts education says, listen, there are no solutions to problems. There are no fixed answers. You can't Google or look at the back of the chapter and find the answers. You have to come up with the answer. And to come up with the answer, you have to think in a certain way. You have to analyze in a certain way. You have to look at something from multiple perspectives. You have to look at it from a sociological perspective. You have to look at it from a psychological perspective. You have to look at it from a political perspective. You have to look at it from an economic perspective. And only then will you be able to solve the problem of, okay, how should I deal with the problem with the migrant labor, for example. So a liberal arts education is in fact very relevant to the future. And I think most people don't realize that it's going to find increasing relevance. Employers are more proactively looking for people with a liberal arts education, and that's why you are seeing a mushrooming of liberal arts institutions. Flame University, Kriya University, Symbiosis, all of these are building liberal arts colleges and liberal arts programs.
Sure, sir. That was I think some of the misconceptions you have cleared for the audience, and we'll be researching more and more about this going forward. Sure, sir. So I think any suggestion or advice you would want to give to the current youth and the aspiring students, how they can upskill themselves going forward, if you can shed some light on that.
Yes, I would say that students today should really think about spending. If you are a student, you should think about spending about 2 hours a day learning something online. Today, your world is not restricted by the 4 walls of or the boundary walls of your institution, that you can only learn what your college or what your university can teach you only through the faculty that you have access to, right? You can learn from anyone. You can learn from anyone around the world. and there is no boundaries. The list of electives that you can take are infinite, and you can take it at your own pace, you can take it in your own time, and there is no pressure on you. I was just doing a course just now. It's a course on edX by a very famous Harvard professor by the name of Tarun Khanna on entrepreneurship. And he talks about entrepreneurship in India, and he talks about several well-known Indian companies that have been very successful. You can, it's a course that students sitting in Harvard Business School take. You can actually get all of that for free on edX. You only have to pay if you want certification or some assessment. Now, I think that's powerful. Even if you're not sitting at Harvard, even if you're not sitting in Professor Khanna's class, if you can actually go through that course, you learn so much, and in such a nice way, presented in a very nice way. This is a top-notch academic. So you're no longer restricted by your faculty or your enrollment or your classes that your college is offering. You can go take courses anywhere in the world. At Stanford University, which is one of the top universities of the world, you can go, they have all their free online materials available. Again, I often go and just read and take courses online. So I think that's the huge opportunity that our students have that we didn't have when I was growing up. And I think that's what's exciting.
Sure, sir. I think all of your thoughts regarding the education industry, Harappa education, and the future that the students can, how they can upskill themselves, they were all very valuable. And we from Collegedunia thank you for your thoughts, sir.
Thank you very much, Rahul, for inviting me. It was wonderful speaking to you. Thank you so much.